Hi listeners, I'm Anna Kaszycki, world champion rower with 3 international degrees and now youth mentor and coach. This is the Aspire Beyond Greatness podcast, where I share inspiring individual stories to empower you to achieve your goals and future life pursuits. If you enjoyed the podcast today, please leave a 5-star review on iTunes. Have a great day, and remember, go after what you want. Welcome to the Aspire Beyond Greatness podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Angela Vincent. Thank you so much for joining us today, Angela.
Thank you.
Awesome. And for those of us who are just tuning in, so Angela is a clinical hypnotherapist. Her business is based in Hobart and it is called Natural State Hypnosis. And she's also a proud mother of 2. So great to have you on today, Angela.
Thank you very much.
And I want to start off by delving into a time when you were your younger self. And if you could give any advice to your 14-year-old self, what do you think it would be?
The 14-year-old self. It's such a difficult time just to breathe, I think. In the words of the hypnotherapist in these days, it's just that you're more okay than you feel, I think is the thing. Like we have bursts where things go really well and it doesn't feel like they're fleeting. It feels like they're fleeting in the 14-year-old girl's head. So the 14-year-old Ange, I would just say, keep doing the sport, do that competing stuff, that it's fun. It's not supposed to be a do or die type of experience. It's 45 minutes of sport in a team. Like, I remember it being so much a part of my childhood, and then I got to high school or 12, 13, 14, and all of a sudden it was such a big deal if I won or lost, and it became more epic. And I think that I started to be that person in life and actually let's just turn up, just be a part of it and try and breathe through the process of whatever the good and the bad is. There's finding the neutral space, a bit of harmony and getting exhausted, burning that energy, because there's so much energy in our bodies, I think was the thing that I remember.
Yeah, definitely. I, don't distinctly remember it, but, a little bit. And even still now, thinking that things are such a big deal when they're not.
Yeah.
And back then, even more so because, it just seems like everything, it's your reputation and what other people think of you, and you just want everything to go really well, and little things don't. And when they don't go to plan, you start to beat yourself up quite a lot. And yeah, I love that advice to kind of just enjoy the process a little bit more and just, be a part of it rather than feeling like you have to win everything, or if you lose, you can't be seen by any of your friends ever again. And just little things like that.
Yeah, but we're going to keep doing dumb things.
Yeah, we all make mistakes, don't we?
Yeah. And I think that, when I was writing my little spiel, it was about purpose and belonging, and that camaraderie of your classmates, or just that group environment is so necessary, and that it's okay that we're all perceive ourselves as awkward in so many different ways, but it's okay. Like, most people don't see the awkwardness in ourselves the way we believe we perceive that we express it. So it helps to become a team player in work, in all that stuff. Have the awkward moments earlier, I say.
Yeah, learn from them as much as you can, I think. Yeah, that's fantastic. I'd love to hear a little bit more about the career that you do, and I think hypnotherapy is really interesting, and I'd love to hear about how you sort of ended up on deciding on that career.
Oh, and it was a long time coming till I found my little niche, which is also part of the important story, I guess. As I left school back when you could leave at year 10, especially in Tassie, because we had a separate year 11 and 12. It's starting to combine now with more of the schools, but it was a fairly open and accepted sort of leap out when I was in high school. And I wasn't enjoying school at the time either, which I think when I look back, I think that part of that time is actually using your support base and using your communication to express that it's difficult, that you're not sleeping as well as you used to. Trying to express it to family. If it's not family, it's aunties as such, uncles, whatever it is, whoever your people are. Is finding someone that actually hears you, because I just needed to be told, I think, to just, you are okay, you've got this, and just hold on for a bit longer. In actual fact, I was perfectly okay in saying that. I went off to do retail, I worked at Cadbury's, I ate chocolate, I did all these unusual things. It taught me about timetables and schedules, taught me how to manage small teams. And I learnt lots of skills along the way. But I think that what a big part of it was, as I was going through these roles, I was doing that same thing where I would master it and then I would get a bit bored. So I did this till I was 25, and my mum actually stepped up and said, "Ray, you need a job that you're committed to." And I thought I was committed to all of them, but clearly not, because I was only staying until I mastered the particular skill, and then I would jump onto something interesting there. So I went off to do nursing, which I'd always wanted to do, but I was really interested in alternative health and the way people think and do. And I've come to learn that I understand that empathic kind of thing quite well, and maybe it didn't do me so well in high school and whatnot. But I went off to do nursing. I became a specialist oncology nurse and moved to Melbourne, and loved what that gave me, an understanding of people and that connection of that belonging, that sense of community, really highly tuned communication, which was so rich in that space. And that then led me to learn about hypnotherapy. And I was in Melbourne, so I had the chance. It's not so easy in Hobart, but it's getting easier. So yeah, I wanted to know more about how to connect quite quickly with people and ease their distress and their fear and their panic, because in nursing we work very fast, but we have to solve things very fast, very quickly too, because we're so busy. And I learnt some really amazing skills and went on to then hypnobirth my second little boy, and it was amazing. So he's now started kindy last week, so he's about to turn 5. So I've been working in the hypnotherapy space quite solidly for that time.
That's amazing. Would you be able to share with us what a hypnoburst is? I don't think I've heard of that before.
Yeah, it's incredible. So what happens, and I think every person, every woman, every man, we all need to know this simple basic thing about our bodies, which is that when we're in panic and fear, otherwise the lower level is anxiety, our bodies, the cave woman, man in us, the nervous system starts to shunt all the blood to the limbs to run and do what they need to, and the heart. But actually when we are concentrating, or we're digesting, or we feel safe and relaxed, the blood actually goes back to our digestive system or our brain, all those supposed non-essential organs that aren't panic and flight running away from the saber-toothed tiger. So what happens when you're birthing is that the blood from the reproductive organs are deemed as less essential when you're running away from a tiger, same as the digestive tract. So the blood is actually drawn away from that space. So if we can teach, so when the women, the witches of the good old days said, just breathe, and they would stand over you and do this stuff, it's actually teaching you not to panic. So breathing through your nostrils is a really good example when you're starting to panic or worry. And it keeps the blood where it needs to do all the contracting, to do all the stuff. So when the pain, those surges come on, you actually can see them as just a period pain or sort of a wave that is actually not unsafe, not unnatural. It hurts. It still can hurt. But you don't fear it. You don't go into panic, which is what I did for my first birth. So I have those two comparisons so stark that it makes sense. And I think I see a lot of 14-year-old girls, funnily enough, 12 and 14, 14-year-old boys, 12-year-old girls in my practice with anxiety. And if we can just teach people that knowledge, you can pick up little bits along the way.
That's amazing.
We're all going to school thinking we're about to birth a baby. No, babies as 14-year-olds either. But just to know the skill or to know that panic can be that right up there at that point. And we need to remember that just because you're 14 or you're 12, that your panic is just as epic and vast and catatonic sometimes as any grown person that's been through a traumatic event.
Yeah, wow. That's an incredible lesson. And, for those who planning to have kids or, thought about that sort of process.
I know, I'm a bit of it's a beautiful story and it was a beautiful birth. It's, and anyone that's had that experience, in fact, my hubby will tell more people than I do. He's so much more whole because of that second.
That's amazing. Well, it sounds like you've learned a ton of different things through the different, experiences that you've had and, careers and just lessons in life. What would you say has been your greatest lesson in life?
Yeah. It has been to let go. To let go, I think. It's the retelling, the ruminating of situations is just such, it ends badly. It always ends badly. And in many cases, our communication, we're learning how to say what we need to say as we go. And mostly we're human, so we can manage to get it wrong so many times. And it's not necessarily in the tone that you say it. It just might be that you completely didn't even realise that you had said something that was someone took the wrong way. And you might still walk away knowing that the look on their face meant that you've said something that's really unnerved them or angered them or something. So being brave, I think, and courageous and saying, I'm sorry, I think I've said something. Like, just catch yourself when you feel like there's a moment where you might have said something not quite right, not quite kosher, because there's nothing worse than, spending 10 years, because you can spend 10 years, I'm 43 now, wondering next time you run into that person if they're still thinking about that thing. In most cases, they're not. And I think even more than that, it's that we have, there's a wonderful book out, The 12 Rules of Life, and it's pretty amazing. What the psychologist talks about is that we have a part of who we are as people. We have a role, and there's an expectation of us to hold our ground, hold our beliefs and hold our space and communicate them if we feel that something is unjust or unfair. And the way that he explains it is that sometimes we have to say things that are deemed impolite, or just, they don't need to know that they're doing it wrong. They'll find out eventually. But actually, there are so many things I wish people had told me I was doing the wrong way round. That actually, when I said something a particular way, it was perceived differently from what I expected. That we have a place to say sometimes things that we don't want to say, and to know that if we say it with kindness and compassion, it might not be heard that day you're not going to walk away feeling good about yourself, but you need to know that you've said the right thing at the right time, and maybe next time they did the thing they do, they might hesitate, they might actually have that moment where they go, oh, so it's a bit of a ladder. It's a bit of that mindfulness thing. It's a bit hit and miss sometimes. The idea is that we catch that moment in ourselves and go, okay, that's not the way other people do this thing. And I'm trying to think of an example. And sometimes it's like things like, I got caught up once being told, it was a bit of a running joke, we'd started using a word, something like someone had asked for something and someone had said something flippantly back, saying the moment had passed. So they kind of realised that they'd missed that moment. To begin with, they wanted to participate. And this other person had said, put their hand up saying, no, the moment's passed. And there was a laughter on that day that I'd actually picked up this one, and I was having some fun with it until someone said to me, well, actually, it makes people feel really not good about themselves when you say that. And so these are the things that I think as people, and I wish that people had maybe caught me up earlier as well.
Definitely. I think, a huge part of that I want to sort of bring it back to was, when you spoke about, firstly, to let go, I think that's huge. And I've had a little bit of experience. I went to an NLP hypnotherapist about a year ago before I started my business. And having gone through quite a bit of trauma as a young person, I thought that I was over it and everything was okay. And I had no idea that I was still holding on to everything, because you do little bits and pieces as you go along in your journey to kind of get over things. And, whether it's like journaling or affirmations, or I was really big into exercise as a young person, and I still am. And I use that to take out a lot of my frustration. But having gone to see him, I realized that through the work I did with him, it was like just letting go of so many things that I didn't even know were there. And it just made such a difference. And instead of adding more and trying to do more that I think a lot of people do, it was just about doing less and letting go. And it was like, wow, this is amazing. So that was great. And I just wanted to just affirm what you were saying about having that person in your life, or even if it's yourself, to, pull yourself up when, you can be doing things a little bit better, or just honest feedback, just having someone to say, oh, you could be doing this a little bit better. But I think it has to come from a loving place, and it can't just be from a place of continuously critiquing. And, I've had some family or friends kind of think, doing a business, that's a bit silly, or even some of the ideas I've had. And I don't mean it in a mean way, but it's more just, giving me feedback of how I could do things better. And, if it's something that you love, you kind of have to do it anyway. And I appreciate feedback in some ways, but then you kind of just have to follow what's right for you as well. So yeah, it's just all part of the process, really, isn't it?
Ah, yes, yeah. The constant. I don't know. I can feel it in myself too. Occasionally wanting to jump in with my eldest, who's just turned 8, and just the way he's interacting with a younger fellow who he doesn't get along as well with, and just being as flippant as he is and brash, and it's like, oh, you know what? You had that experience when you were younger, and it was heartbreaking, but these are part of the moments that it's like, well, I could jump in and tell him that he wasn't behaving as well or as he should. But then it's just a difficult thing. We're all learning at different levels at different times. But I remember just being given some advice when you are 14, when you are 12 or 8. You can quite quickly jump into defensive mode that, I'm not even good at playing with other people's friends. It's hard to find a place where, I don't know, we've all seen the Pinterests and the little social media little blurbs about different ways you can say things so that they're more constructive and more positive.
Yeah.
But I think it's just letting go of it when it doesn't come out the way you hope it's going to.
Yeah. Kind of like what we said before about just making the mistake, really, isn't it?
Yes. And letting, and it's about, I think the word courageousness. I think we're, as babies, we don't have this thing about whether we should or shouldn't try something new, children. And I think reminding ourselves that's in our blueprint, and we forget to pull it out of the toolbox sometimes.
Definitely. I want to just transition there into, from lessons. Obviously, as a part of life's journey, we all encounter, wins and losses. And I'm interested to know, because I think that setbacks make people who they are. And I'd love to know, what has been your greatest setback?
My greatest setback? Well, I think it was being angry and not being able to communicate between sort of that 16 to the 20-year-old period, and really rebelling at that time and not using the people around me, and not asking the right people to support me or to remind me that I am loved in however it is. Maybe it's going to the movies with your mum or your dad, or doing something where you feel connected to that individual. I see now that there are some simple ways I could have asked. Love wasn't an easy thing when I was growing up. We had an interesting language and we had plenty of difficulties. Most people that know me know that, I grew up in a family with an alcoholic. So it was tough, and the three of us, were marvellous siblings. We all have our unique way of communicating, and I'm sure that came into play. It's actually going, okay, this is different. Not everybody's had this same experience. But that doesn't mean that there aren't others in the periphery looking out for us because of that known. I now see that, but I didn't understand it. I didn't encompass it back then. And I definitely have the ability to fall into addiction now, and I know that was where I went. I decided that pot smoking would be the way that I did the next few years, and it's not. It's just not. You lose friends, you lose your connection with people. go to the movies, go out for coffee, do that stuff. And even, saying to that parent, like, that I'm just being shocked at how drawn I was to that experience makes complete sense now. But notice it. And if you're going back a second time or a third time, then there's a high chance that that's going to be something that you need to look out for. And just do your best to find something else. That was something that is really significant, and I wish that for all teenagers, all young adults, that they get, that we express it, that it's not normal for that to be something you're drawn back to time and time again. You're going to see it at parties, you're going to see these drugs, you're going to see these, but they're now killing people. It's not safe to go to parties and take these drugs. They're too dangerous. They were always, we just didn't know about it. So for me, it's be safe with your people. I was fortunate. I had a lot of people that looked after me, but not everyone's going to be that. And I'd call it luck. There's no other way to put it, but just I got through. Don't be one of the ones that doesn't kind of look after your people, your friends. If someone seems to be more into it than others, you need to have the conversation with them, but reach out to another adult as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of before you leave the house when you're a teenager and you go to a party and your mum asks you, oh, what friends are you going to be going with? And you make sure you have sort of a safety plan and that you all look after each other if anything happens. But it kind of is just even messaging someone at the end of the night to make sure you got home okay, or, just making sure that you keep an eye on someone if they've had too many drinks, or, if they are around people that might be taking something that doesn't sit well with them. It's sort of like, you definitely have to just be careful with those things. And, when you are young, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone wants to experiment or do something. And, granted, everyone has a different journey at different points of their life. But, I really like what you said about just how important it is to sort of look after one another and, build a community of people that you can trust and be around those people. Definitely. And what do you say that you're most proud of?
Oh, my life now, I think. My people that I think I'm more honest, the most honest I've ever been, and I think that is significant. As we grow up, we also have different personas. We've got the family us and the work us, and the actually Friday night alone, not being bothered us, where we're completely okay, just doing nothing, staring at the walls, just relaxed and not feeling like we're missing out that night. If we could have that person in all of the other parts, then that would be great. I'm starting to blend that a lot more than I used to. Be aware when you're playing a part a lot differently with your family and your work, or your family and your friends. You want it to be as close as it can be, and I finally feel like I'm getting closer to that point. So I'm pretty proud of that. I'm proud of my little boys and my husband and me.
That's great. It sounds almost that just being okay with yourself is something that you're proud of, and I think that's definitely something to be proud of, because I feel like, maybe women especially, but everyone in some way is sort of on this journey to work towards, reaching that point where whatever has happened, whatever is going on, you're okay with who you are. Because, I've spoken about it with a few other people on the podcast, but there's so much pressure from different things, whether it's, your family or your friends or society, to maybe look and be a certain way, and we're not all in a box and can be that way. So when we can just sort of be comfortable on Friday night and not be worried that we might be missing out on something because we just need that time to relax, or, you know, just enjoying maybe going out to see one friend that we haven't seen in a while because that felt like the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just being okay with ourselves, and I think that's really empowering. Is there anything that you feel that sort of got you to that point, or is it just been sort of time and work that you've done?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the work that I've done in my nursing as well as in my hypnotherapy they've all been quite therapeutic, I guess is the word. I've been able to gently reflect. I've also had plenty of darker times where there have been periods of depression that I've now looked back on and realised now that I probably should have put my hand up at the time. So I've had bouts of going to see people, and that's definitely helped. I'm much more aware of my triggers in social situations as well. I think that we need to be open about things that catch us up. Even sugar and drinking cans of Coke, like, you know, it's not okay to drink 6 cans of Coke. But we need to be okay to tell people that actually I'm drinking 6 cans of Coke a day. So I think it is just those moments where we're saying out loud, okay, you don't do this, do you? Like, it's finding, it's actually just having the courage to say, actually, this is how I feel, or this is what I'm doing when I'm not around other people. They're the bits. And each time it might be just something small like dusting or whatever your thing is, your nervous twitch is. But each time you expose it, it's a little bit less power. So I think over time, I've taken the little ones and eventually got to the bigger ones, and it makes me a bit braver in life. So I think that's definitely something I would encourage others to do.
Yeah, just being sort of honest with yourself and with other people seems like that's sort of the best way to go. And I love that. I think that's really important. And when you finally are able to get honest with yourself, I feel, the things around you sort of start to change, and you feel, you definitely feel a bit better in yourself. I want to share an idea with you, which is that I believe that from the minute that you wake up in the morning and as you go about your day, you know, working and supporting clients with your hypnotherapy business and supporting your family, your kids, your husband and your friends and family, to the minute that you go to bed at night, I think that everyone turns up in the day with a certain skill set and values. You know, for instance, some people are really confident, some people are really genuine, some are really positive. What do you believe that you bring when you turn up, Angela?
Oh, wow. That's a beautiful thing, isn't it? I believe I bring, I have to say, an authenticity. I can tap into other people's anxieties, perhaps, which I didn't realise a long time ago. So I feel like by being my authentic self, I can allow others to take a breath too and be okay. I think I'm starting to learn that quality is pretty special. So I'm pretty fortunate to have it.
Yeah, that's great. And what would you say inspires you every day?
You know what? At the moment, it's everything. I live in Tassie, so it's beautiful. We are in a beautiful place, but it's my kids, it's the work that my husband does with the NDIS. I think I'd actually like to say that the wonderful work I am doing with the 12 and 14-year-old age group, sometimes 9 and 10-year-old kids, so their hormones and their anxieties getting in the way of their next step. And it's been a pretty magnificent thing to remind them that they are magnificent as well. And I can say all those loving words to them under hypnosis that don't make them push it back, which is a pretty special gift. So that would be it.
That's awesome. And who would you say has been your biggest supporter?
Oh, gosh. I'd say mum, but I'd have to probably my husband.
Yep. Is there something he's done for you that makes you feel that he's really supported you? Yeah.
We're different people, and he likes a project, and he's quite an A personality type, and he just gets the importance of this, my role, and sometimes I get a bit airy-fairy in my place. Sometimes I need structures, and just I think without him, my business probably wouldn't be where it's at, because he gives it the tangibility, perhaps, and I think it works well. So I like the way he sees things out and creates these wonderful things for the NDIS and whatnot. So I feel like I get the side benefit of what's happening there as well.
Awesome. Well, I just want to wrap it up and say thank you so much for your time today. And I would love to acknowledge you for 3 things that I took away from our conversation today. And that was your message about just enjoying the journey of life and sort of just being okay with everything was another one. And yeah, so, whatever's going on for you, know that you're okay. And the other one was, as we go through life, just whatever point you're sort of at, just to sort of let go of the things that don't serve us anymore. And I think that's really important if you're going through something now, or if you have in the past, as best that you can, just let it go, because you want to move forward and be that best version of yourself. And until you let go, you might be a bit jaded by those things. So yeah, and that's okay to let go as well. So thank you so much for your time today. It's been great having you here today.
Oh, it's been great chat.
And before I let you go, what is the best way for our audience to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so my website is naturalstatehypnosis.com.au. So I have a Facebook, and my Instagram feeds through my website as well. So you can find me there. I do MP3s, but I also do hypnotherapy online, which is marvellous, from Hobart, so you don't need to be down here to see me. So there's some of the ways you can catch me.
That's great. Well, yeah, definitely make sure you check out Angela's website, Natural State Hypnotist. And yeah, stay tuned for another episode of Aspire Beyond Greatness.